One of the main reasons for buying an EV, we were told, was that they were so much cheaper to run. Just think of all that money you'll save not having to fill your car with petrol or diesel, they said. In spite of all the inconveniences of EVs, you'll be saving money and that makes it all worthwhile, they said. Well, not so fast, because rising electricity prices and insurance costs are rapidly wiping out any financial benefit of owning an EV. The electricity price rises are due entirely to the same mad policies that are pushing EVs in the first place, net zero, which on the one hand forces us to buy EVs and on the other eliminates reliable baseload power generation from coal and gas and pushes the grid onto unreliable wind and solar, and prices rocket as a result. The irony is lost on Western governments pushing these policies, unfortunately. And insurance is a disaster for EVs and will get worse. Insurance companies are wising up to the fact that EVs are almost invariably totaled out in an accident, and they're cranking up premiums in response. Suddenly, the financial benefits of EVs are disappearing as fast as the depreciation on a Porsche Taycan. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer, now Sydney-based YouTuber. Be sure to follow me on the usual socials for more content, links in the description, and please make sure you're subscribed and have enabled all notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you'd like to support this channel, why not buy me a coffee? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Unless you have the relative luxury of off-street parking and the ability to charge an EV in your driveway, you are going to find EV ownership a very tiresome and wallet-emptying experience. Not only will you have to queue and wait for your EV to charge at a public charging station, assuming it's working that is, but also you'll be paying through the nose for every kilowatt hour you use. Public EV charging costs rise to rival petrol. Green motoring isn't as cheap as it used to be as rapid charging sites continue to increase prices. The cost of fast charging electric cars is accelerating beyond the price of refueling conventional vehicles in Australia. Though the range anxiety that discouraged people from buying electric cars has been mitigated by 1,000 fast charging outlets across the country, increasingly high charging fees could make drivers hesitant to make the switch. EV Networks, Australia's largest fast charging provider, has increased prices by 80% in 5 years, from 35 cents per kilowatt hour in 2020 to 63 cents per kilowatt hour during peak periods today. Charging is slightly cheaper, 53 cents per kilowatt hour, during overnight off-peak periods, which start at 9 p.m. and finish at 10 a.m. Wow, and who wouldn't want to charge their EV at 3 in the morning, right? Tesla's supercharger network is even more expensive for vehicles made by rival brands. Some sites charge 92 cents per kilowatt hour for energy. Recharging the 60 kilowatt hour battery of a popular medium-sized EV such as the BYD Atto 3 could cost $55 for about 390 kilometers of range, while a larger Kia EV9's 100 kilowatt hour battery costs about $90 for about 500 kilometers of driving. Compare that to a Toyota RAV4 with a 55-litre tank that costs $1.80 per litre to fill, or about $100 for a full tank, returning more than 800 kilometres of range. And EVs can start to look like a tough sell. On a dollar per kilometre basis, the most expensive EV chargers result in cars such as a BYD Atto 3 or Kia EV9 costing $14 and $18 to power for 100 kilometres, which is more than the $8 or $13 of a Toyota RAV4 or Hilux. The charging station owners blame it on various tangential issues, but the reality is that in Australia, like in the UK, we have, thanks to the mind-boggling destruction of a reliable grid based on coal and gas, some of the most expensive electricity in the world. Thanks, Chris Bowen, you moron. And if that isn't enough, then your insurance company is going to whack you with huge increases in premiums, as the UK Telegraph reports. Electric car insurance premiums set to soar. Chinese-made vehicles in particular could skyrocket after a new vehicle risk rating (VRR) system was rolled out last month. Electric vehicle insurance premiums are set to soar under a regime shake-up, it has been warned. Insurance premiums for EVs and Chinese-made cars in particular could skyrocket after a new vehicle risk rating system was rolled out last month, an expert said. VRR will eventually replace the group-based system of insurance, which bands vehicles into 50 separate premium categories. 5 key categories go into the VRR rating, including performance, damageability, safety, security, and repairability. It is this last category that will send EV premiums soaring, Chris Rosamond of Auto Express magazine said, because the insurance industry lacks the information it needs to offer lower premiums on EVs. Mr. Rosamond said, if the data does show, as many or most of us expect, that there is this increased risk around batteries, then it's likely that will emerge in or be reflected in premiums down the track. If you get a golf ball-sized dent in the battery casing of your new EV, for example, there is no sort of technical reference available for insurers to be able to say with 100% certainty that a repair has fixed that and returned it to, effectively, its original condition. Yep, that's absolutely correct. I have seen examples of a tiny scrape on the underside of a car which has resulted in the entire vehicle being totaled out. The insurers cannot risk putting a vehicle with a damaged battery back on the road, but a new battery pack is more than the value of the car. Professor David Bailey of the University of Birmingham told The Telegraph that Chinese EV manufacturers are struggling to keep up with the demand for spares for repairers. So they've entered the market but not necessarily set up a distribution system in terms of parts for the vehicles, which has meant that actually getting them repaired at all has proven to be quite difficult, he said. Especially on the EV side, I mean there's a combination of things there anyway. One is repairers' knowledge in general of repairing EVs. Not all repairers can do that. Yes, your average mechanic doesn't want to touch EV repairs for a number of reasons. Firstly, they need a full retraining to be able to carry them out. Secondly, they have to store damaged EVs dotted around like islands in the Pacific. No longer can you just park all of your jobs next to each other because of the risk of fire spreading from one to the others. And thirdly, they're just not interested. More often than not, you just end up replacing entire subsystems because there's no way to replace smaller components anymore. EV proponents say, but EVs are so much simpler with way fewer parts. Yes, and each of those parts, like motors or batteries, are frighteningly expensive. No longer can you just repair that $2 component that bolts onto your engine, you have to replace the entire motor. A lack of parts availability also means that insurance companies would rather total out a car than have it sitting for 6 months while the spares may or may not arrive. And none of this addresses the other financial elephant in the room, namely depreciation, which should really be taken into account when determining the value of an EV against a regular car. You might save a bit on petrol, but if you're losing 20k a year in depreciation, as many will be on EVs, that loss will swamp any possible benefit of fuel savings. This all goes to show that one of the main arguments in favour of EVs, the savings that you can make, is really just an illusion. Electricity prices will continue to rise in the face of net zero, as will insurance premiums, at the same time as your EV's value is plummeting because, let's face it, nobody in their right mind would buy a used EV. So as I've said on many occasions on this channel, if you want to do your bit for the planet, buy a good used petrol car, maintain it well and keep it for as long as you can. This will do more for the environment than buying an EV ever will.